So let me tell you what I have never heard a leader say out loud, but what almost every leader I have ever worked with has felt. I can't leave. Not because they don't want to, not because they don't trust their team, but because somewhere along the way, they built something that cannot function without them standing in the center of it. And they call it dedication. I call it structural emergency. Welcome to the executive briefing, and I'm Dr. Rhonda Simmons, your leadership formation advisor, and the person who is going to tell you the truth about what is actually happening when you feel like you cannot step away from your organization. Today's question is this: what happens when leaders become the central processing unit of their organization? Stay with me. This one is going to hit. Here is what you have been experiencing. It's a pattern I want you to recognize. You are a high capacity leader. You care deeply. You hold high standards. And somewhere in the building of your organization, whether that's a company, a department, a ministry, a school, you started taking on more. Not because you wanted to, but because nobody else seemed to be operating at the level you needed. And so you stepped in, you handled it. You made the call. You answered the question. You approved the plan. You sat in the meeting that nobody else was qualified to sit in. And it worked until it didn't. Because here's what I have observed. When a leader becomes the central processing unit of an organization, meaning every decision, every question, every escalation routes through her, the organization does not grow. It replicates her ceiling, and she does not get a break. Let me ask you something. When is the last time you took a full day off and did not check in once? Come on now, be honest. When is the last time your team made a significant decision without calling you first? And when is the last time you left the room physically or mentally and things kept moving? If you're pausing right now, that pause is data. I want to name something that most leadership conversations will not name. The fact that everything runs through you is not a compliment. Yeah, I said what I said. I know that one lands kind of hard. We have been conditioned to believe that being indispensable is evidence of value, that if the organization needs you, it means you matter, that if the team cannot move without you, it means you are doing your job well. I want to challenge that belief today at the very root. What if the dependence is not a compliment? What if it's evidence of a structure that was never built? I worked alongside two principals in my 6 years as an assistant principal at two different elementary schools. Both of them took time off freely, sometimes without much notice, and both of their schools kept running because we, the APs, ran them. Yeah, we ran them. I used to think that was a problem. I thought they were absent. I thought they were delegating too much. I thought the school was running in spite of them. What I eventually understood is that one of them had actually done the work. She had poured into us, trained us, given us not just tasks, but the authority to complete those tasks without her standing over us. And when she walked out the door, the mission kept moving because she had built something that could. That is not absence, that's architecture. Let me tell you what I've seen happen when leaders don't deal with this. First, the team stops thinking, not because they are incapable, but because they have been trained slowly, consistently, sometimes unintentionally to wait. When leaders overstate their authority, when every decision requires prior approval, when team members who act independently are asked to over explain themselves, When the culture or the organization is there will be order at all times, what you are actually building is a culture of paralysis. And here's the dangerous part. That paralysis becomes the norm. The team stops bringing ideas. They stop making calls. They stop moving without permission. And the leader who created that culture looks around and says, "Why does everything have to come to me?" You trained them to come to you. The system is working exactly as it was designed. Second, the leader cannot scale. An organization that runs through one person has a very specific ceiling, her ceiling. And it does not matter how gifted she is, how visionary, how committed. A system built on one person's constant presence is a system that is one absence away from stalling. Here's the third thing, and this is the one nobody talks about. The work disconnects from the vision. When a leader is in processing mode all day, she is not in vision mode. She is approving, reviewing, answering, deciding. And the work her organization is producing, all of that activity has no visible thread pulling it back to the mission. Busy without alignment is organized chaos with a calendar. I said what I said. And the organization starts spinning its wheels without moving the needle in any direction that counts. So I want to reframe the entire conversation today. There is a difference between a leader who is needed and a leader who is necessary. A needed leader is one the organization cannot function without. Her presence is required for things to move. Her approval is the bottleneck. Her capacity is the ceiling. A necessary leader is one the organization was built around, not dependent on. She is necessary by title and by vision, but she is not the processing unit. She is the architect. The necessary leader builds systems. And you may have heard me say this before, your success is in your systems. She pours into people. She distributes authority, not just tasks. She creates permission, structures that allow her team to operate at a high level in her presence and in her absence. Here's the shift that makes this possible. You have to stop delegating tasks and start delegating authority. Task delegation says, here is what I need you to do. Authority delegation says, here is the decision space you own. Here is where your judgment is trusted. And here is what you do not need to bring to me. That distinction changes everything. Think about a parent of an 18-year-old. Effective parents have to trust at some point that they have poured their best into their child during those formative years, that the investment was real, that the preparation was sufficient, and then they have to let go. The most effective leaders operate the same way. They know when it is time to transition from teacher to coach, from processor to architect, from the one who holds everything to the one who built the system that holds itself. I want to bring this home because we're at the fork in the road. If you are the central processing unit of your organization right now, you have a choice to make today. You can keep running the system the way it has been built. And I will be honest with you, it will keep working for a while. You will keep producing, your team will keep performing, the organization will keep moving until the day you can't be there. And that day will come. It might come by choice, such as a vacation, a sabbatical, a season of rest, Or it might come by circumstance, health moment, a family need, an unexpected transition. And it might even come by design because you finally decided that being free matters more than being needed. Or you can do something totally different. You can build the structure that makes your absence survivable. You can distribute the authority your team needs to think, move, and decide. You can stop being the processor and start being the architect. But here's what I know from working with high capacity leaders for over 30 years. You cannot build what you cannot see. If you don't know where the structural gaps are, you can't close them. If you don't know which decisions you are holding that you should not be holding, you can't release them. And if you don't know what your leadership structure is actually built on, what it can hold and what it cannot hold, you can't redesign it. That is exactly why I built the Executive Leadership Diagnostic. It's not a quiz, it's not a personality profile, it's a structured diagnostic conversation designed to surface the real pressure points in your leadership structure, the places where you are functioning as the CPU when you should be functioning as the architect. It'll show you where decision authority is missing in your organization, where your team has been trained to wait instead of move, where your capacity is being consumed by processing instead of leading, and what it would take to build the structure that sets you free. The link is in the show notes or the description or the comments somewhere around this video. I want you to take that diagnostic this week. The sooner, the better. And if this episode hits something real for you, share it, forward it, send it to a leader who needed to hear this today. Because your success is in your systems. You weren't called to be a processor. You were called to lead. You were called to be an architect. And I can help you get there.